We helped this brand generate nearly $500,000 in email revenue from a list of just 15,000 subscribers. Not 150,000, 15,000. And while there are a number of reasons why this was possible, the biggest takeaway has nothing to do with list size, but it has everything to do with what happens after somebody subscribes. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly where that revenue came from, what this brand was doing differently, and why a smaller, better monetized list will often outperform a much larger one. Now, this has been one of our clients for over 2 years. Before I go any further, it's worth mentioning that this brand sells premium apparel with an average order value of around $300. So obviously that's going to help, but I don't think that's the most interesting part of the story, because even with a high AOV, most brands still struggle to generate meaningful revenue from email. The lesson here isn't that you need a luxury product, but you do need a system for turning subscribers into customers and customers into repeat buyers. So what do we help this brand do? So the first thing we did was increase the quality of their audience. Now, a lot of brands get caught up in chasing subscriber growth, but not all subscribers are created equal. We'd rather add 1,000 people who are generally interested in buying than 10,000 people who are just there for a discount. That means improving data collection, making the sign-up experience more relevant, and giving people a more compelling reason to subscribe in the first place. We treated this email list like an exclusive club of people. So we didn't really aim for crazy list growth, but we did make sure that those who did subscribe were buyers, or at the very least interested buyers. And just a quick note here, discounts are okay when used reasonably. They're still the best lead magnet you can have in e-commerce for most brands. Just make sure you deliver them like you promised and make them accessible in the pop-up. The least amount of friction here, the better. Number 2 is we helped increase their subscriber to customer conversion. From there, a lot of our attention went towards helping subscribers make that first purchase. We already knew the products were good. The reviews were strong, customers loved them. And once somebody did purchase, there's a really good chance they're going to come back again. So the challenge wasn't convincing people after they bought. It was actually helping them just find the right product in the first place and getting them over the line. So what we did is we personalized the welcome experience as much as possible, use customer data to make better product recommendations, and just made sure people were being consistently reminded about products that they had already shown interest in. One metric that stood out to me was that roughly 66% of the list became customers after the first year that we work with them, and their 30-day conversion rate was around 32%. What does this mean exactly? It means that 66% of people on their email list were buyers, and 32% of them bought within the first 30 days. Now, these aren't metrics you hear people talking about very often, but they're incredibly important, because if subscribers aren't turning into customers, list growth doesn't really matter. Now, number 3 is it helped increase their repeat purchases. Of course, this was the next piece, and this is where having a generally good product makes life a lot easier. You don't need fancy retention strategies here, especially if you're a 7-figure brand. You just need a product people actually want to come back to and purchase again. So our job was to make that process as easy as possible. We built out the post-purchase journey, improved abandonment flows, and just made sure customers were consistently being exposed to products that were relevant to them. We also spent a lot of time dialing in the recovery side of the business. So all the abandonment flows, of course, browse abandonment, cart abandonment, checkout abandonment, because these are the highest intent purchase flows that we have after the welcome series, of course. And so we want to make sure that people were reminded about products they had already considered purchasing, and making sure any offers they already had received didn't go to waste. Any seasonal promotions maybe, or if they still didn't use their welcome series discount. Now, the 4th thing we did was we leaned into what was already working. This is a really underutilized metric and tactic that people don't often think about. Another thing working in favor with this brand in particular was that they did have clear winning products. Their golf products consistently outperformed the rest of their catalog. So rather than treating every product equally, we leaned into what customers were already responding to. We tracked that data and we knew that these were the best ones. And so we made sure those products received the attention that they deserved. And number 5, stay consistent. Beyond that, a lot of the results came from our consistency. We stuck to the same sending cadence throughout the year. The brand released 4 collections annually, like many apparel brands, which gave us a steady stream of new products and email ideas to talk about. We spent time building anticipation before launches, creating excitement around these releases, and maximizing scarcity once the products did become available. Really nothing groundbreaking. We just showed up consistently week after week, month after month, and supported customers throughout this entire journey, whether they're considering their first purchase or their 5th. Now, number 6, we kept segmentation extremely simple, especially for smaller list size. This is not something you want to overcomplicate. I'm telling you right now, these were the 4 segments we honed in on with this brand. 1 was engaged subscribers. 2 was unengaged subscribers, so that included the whole list. 3 was customers, and 4th were non-customers. That's literally it. You really don't need anything more than that, especially for lists under 50,000 recipients. Just nail the fundamentals, and that's exactly what we did here. Lastly, we tracked the right data. Finally, we spent a lot of time looking beyond metrics that, Klaviyo is going to give you by default. For example, the open rates and click rates and other numbers that they provide they are useful, but they only tell you part of the story. What we really cared about were things like AOV, average order value, repeat purchase rate, customer lifetime value, and how much revenue was already coming from existing customers. Because at the end of the day, that's really what this is all about, generating more value from every customer that you acquire. Now, as email marketers, we don't control traffic, we don't control ad spend, but where we do have a bit of control is how much revenue each customer generates after they're in our ecosystem. So that's where we focus all of our attention. And over time, those improvements compounded. The result was a customer base that purchased more frequently, spent more money, and ultimately became far more valuable to the business itself. Now, the challenge is that most brands don't actually know where their biggest opportunity is. They know they want more revenue, obviously, repeat customers, higher lifetime value, but when you ask them specifically what's holding you back, the answer is usually pretty vague. It could be list growth, conversion, like I said, more repeat purchases. But the problem is that every brand is different and every brand has different needs. One brand might benefit from more subscribers if they, for example, have a low ticket product. Another brand might just simply need to dial in their customer journey if their product is already really good. And another brand might have a really easy time converting customers with their first purchase, but almost nobody comes back and buys a second time. Most brands end up working on whatever sounds important at the moment, but instead of identifying the actual bottleneck that's limiting their growth. And this is exactly why we built the retention gap calculator. Now, a calculator walks you through a series of questions about your business and analyzes the key retention metrics that drive long-term growth. Things like subscriber conversion rates, repeat purchase rates, customer lifetime value, several others. And from there, it calculates where your biggest opportunities are and estimates how much additional revenue and, more importantly, how much additional profit those improvements could be worth over the next 12 months. The goal here isn't just to give you another vanity score, it's to give you clarity, because once you know where the bottleneck is, it becomes much easier to decide what deserves your attention and what doesn't. So if you'd like to see where your biggest retention opportunities are, I'll leave a link to the calculator below. It's completely free, takes only a few minutes to complete, and you'll receive a custom report based on your exact business. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.